Dear Diary, today I heard a knock at the door and my life began to unravel. The morning began like any other. Sun rising over the hills of Uz, servants tending the fields, my children feasting in the home of my oldest son. I prayed for them at dawn, just as I always do. Sacrificed on their behalf, just in case one of them had sinned in their hearts. I never wanted to leave that to chance. I was known in these parts. Not because I demanded it, but because the Lord had blessed me. 7 sons, 3 daughters, thousands of animals, servants, land, respect. I walked through the city gates and men stood up. Even the elders listened when I spoke. And yet, none of that could stop what came next. Dear Diary, today one messenger arrived, then another, and another. The first ran in, breathless, eyes wide. He said the Sabaeans had attacked. They took the oxen, killed the servants. He alone had escaped. Before his words had even sunk in, another came. "Fire fell from the sky," he gasped. "The sheep, burned alive, more servants, gone." I hadn't yet responded when the third one came through the gate. "The Chaldeans," he cried. They raided the camels. More death, more loss. And then came the last one. His voice trembled. "Your sons and daughters." He paused, couldn't finish. The house collapsed, a mighty wind, from the desert. All 10, gone. I couldn't speak. It didn't feel real. 4 men, 4 messages, no time to breathe between them, like wave after wave crashing over me before I could rise from the last. Dear Diary, today I tore my robe and shaved my head and fell to the ground. But I didn't curse. I didn't scream. I didn't throw dust or blame God. I worshipped, not because I understood, but because He's still God and I am still dust. I said the only thing my mouth could find in the chaos. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord, and somehow I meant it. Even if my heart was breaking, even if my hands trembled, even if my soul was drowning in grief, I still believe He is good. I still believe He is near. But dear Diary, today was the worst day of my life. Dear Diary, today I sat in ashes and scraped at my skin with a broken piece of pottery. I didn't know pain like this existed. It started slowly. A burning itch, then blisters, then lesions, and then sores. Covering my skin like a plague, from the soles of my feet to the crown of my head. I couldn't lie down. I couldn't sit without wincing. I could hardly walk. Every movement sent knives through my body. I left the house. I couldn't bear for anyone to look at me. I found a heap of ashes outside the town, the place where the garbage burns and the sick are forgotten. I sat there alone, my body broken, my heart in pieces. I found a shard of clay and dragged it across my skin, again and again, until it bled. It didn't help, but I didn't know what else to do. Dear Diary, today my wife came to me, but I didn't recognize the woman she had become. She stood at a distance. I saw the shock in her eyes, the horror. I could see it all, the questions she didn't dare say aloud, the bitterness curling at the corners of her mouth. She said, "Do you still hold fast your integrity? Curse God and die." I don't blame her. She's grieving too. 10 children, gone. Our household, destroyed. Our name, ruined. Our future, ashes. Maybe she thought I would be the strong one. Maybe she resents me for surviving while everything else didn't. But I couldn't do what she said. I told her, not in anger, but gently, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" She didn't reply. She just turned and walked away. And I stayed, in the ashes, with my sores, with my silence, with my sorrow. Dear Diary, today 3 friends came and they didn't say a word. Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar. I saw them approaching from a distance. I think they barely recognized me at first. When they did, They wept, tore their clothes, sprinkled dust on their heads. They sat with me, on the ground, for 7 days and 7 nights. No one spoke. Because what do you say when the world has ended? What comfort could there be when the sky feels closed and God feels distant? They thought their silence was a gift, and for a time, it was. But the silence wasn't empty. It was full of questions, full of ache, full of things I couldn't put into words. I didn't ask them why this happened. I didn't ask them what I had done wrong, because I already asked God, and He said nothing. Dear Diary, today I sat on the ground and begged for answers that didn't come. I'm not angry yet, not fully, not confused enough to accuse, not content enough to be quiet. I'm just broken. I've lost everything, and now even my own body rebels against me. But still, somewhere deep in the ruin of myself, I believe He sees me, even here, even in this. He has to, because if He doesn't, then what is left? Dear Diary, today the whirlwind came, and so did He. For days, no, weeks, I poured out questions like blood from an open wound. I asked, I cried, I accused, I waited. My friends gave answers, clever, rehearsed, sharp. They spoke of justice and guilt and punishment. They said I must have sinned, that God is just, and therefore I must be wrong. I defended myself, not because I claimed perfection, but because I knew I had walked in integrity. I gave to the poor. I feared the Lord. I turned from evil. I honored His name. And still, everything was taken. And then today, the sky opened and the wind began to roar. It wasn't like any storm I'd ever seen. This wasn't weather. It was a voice. Dear Diary, today God spoke, and I had no words. He didn't answer my questions. He didn't explain why the animals died, or why the wind struck my son's house, or why disease clings to my skin like a second skeleton. He didn't tell me why. He asked me the questions. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Who shut in the sea with doors? Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades or loose the cords of Orion? He spoke of mountain goats giving birth, of snow stored in vaults, of hawks taking flight, of thunder, of behemoth and leviathan. Creation itself was His poetry, and He recited it line by line. I had cried for answers. He gave me Himself. Dear Diary, today I put my hand over my mouth. For the first time in all this, I saw myself clearly, not as a victim, not as a fool, not as a man with arguments to win or wounds to defend. I saw myself as small, and somehow that was not shameful. It was freeing. My ears had heard of you, I whispered, but now my eyes have seen you. I repented, not because He punished me, but because I had spoken of things too wonderful for me to know. I had questioned the potter while still wet in His hands, and still He loved me. Dear Diary, today He restored me. He told my friends they were wrong, that their words had not honored Him. He asked them to bring offerings and asked me to pray for them. And I did. He restored me, doubled what was lost, gave me more sons, more daughters, and He made me live long enough to see 4 generations. But even if He hadn't, even if the sores stayed and the ashes never lifted, the moment I heard His voice, I was healed.